Everyone got the text?
Yes.
Okay, then
Yes, please.
yeah, we can start reading. So, who will read today?
Yes, I will read it.
Okay, go ahead. One page.
The answer is important, for it puts the whole distinction very clearly and indicates, though it does not develop entirely, the line of reconciliation. Renunciation and yoga of works both bring about the soul's salvation, but of the two, the yoga of work is distinguished above the renunciation of works. He should be known as always a sannyasin, even when he is doing action, who neither dislikes nor desires. For free from dualities, he is released easily and happily from the bondage. Children speak of Sankhya and Yoga apart from each other, not the why. If a man applies himself integrally to one, he gets the fruit of both, because in their integrality, each contains the other. The status which is attained by the Sankhya, to that the man of the Yoga also arrive. Who sees Sankhya and Yoga as one, he sees. But renunciation is difficult to attain without Yoga. The sage who has Yoga attains soon to the Brahman. His self becomes the self of all existences of all things that have become. And even though he does works, he is not involved in them. He knows that the actions are not his, but nature's, and by that very knowledge he is free. He has renounced the works, does no actions, though actions are done through him. He becomes the self, the Brahman, Brahma Bhuta. He sees all existences as becomings, Bhutani, of that self-existent being. His own only one of them, all their actions as only the development of cosmic nature working through their individual nature, and his own actions also as a part of the same cosmic activity. This is not the whole teaching of the Gita, for as yet there is only the idea of the immutable self or Purusha, the Akshara Brahman, and of nature, Prakriti, as that which is responsible for the cosmos, and not yet the idea clearly expressed of the Ishvara, the Purushottama. As yet only the synthesis of works and knowledge, and not yet, in spite of certain hints, the introduction of the supreme element of devotion, which becomes so important afterwards. As yet only the one inactive Purusha and the lower Prakriti, and not yet the distinction of the triple Purusha and the double Prakriti. It is true the Ishvara is spoken of, but his relation to the self and nature is not yet made definite. The first 6 chapters only carry the synthesis so far as it can be carried without the clear expression and decisive entrance of these all-important two truths, which, when they come in, must necessarily enlarge and modify, though without abolishing these first reconciliations.
Okay, a lot of things to discuss here with clarity. Okay, the answer is important. So, what was the question? Naturally, we have to be clear about that. Otherwise, the answer will make no sense. So, the question was, you are asking me to do Sankhya Yoga and use the yoga of the intelligent will. You are asking me to concentrate in the mind and get rid of my identification with body, mind, life. And I must say the body, mind, life is works. And you are asking me not to do works. You are asking me to get away from the identification with body, mind, life, which means you are rejecting all works. Okay? So that's what it means. But at the same time, you are telling me that karma yoga is very good. Okay? It is very good. So this is a contradiction. So tell me very clearly what I have to do. I don't want all theory. I want only practice. What am I to do? So he is answering that both the paths, going from the mind concentration to the self is one, you get liberated. The end of both are liberation. Liberation of what from what? Liberation of the soul, which is imprisoned in body, mind, life. It has to go from the imprisonment of in the body and vital and mind. It has to escape. It has to kick off the attachments to the body, mind, life and get out. And once it goes out, it is free. Okay. Now it knows that it is, that was my, what I was thinking earlier, that I am the body, mind, life. I am not. Okay. I am pure consciousness. I am pure soul. So that's one thing. But then how to do that? You have to do that by simply by concentration also it can be done. That is Jnana Yoga. But it is very difficult. It's not easy. Concentration in the mind is not at all easy. It's very difficult. So there is a better way, and that is through Karma Yoga. But if you do Karma Yoga, you are going to get attached to body, mind, life. So do the works, but don't do it for yourself. Do it for the Lord as a sacrifice. Okay. Once you do that, you go on doing everything for the Lord and not for yourself. Even to the extent of eating. Okay, normally we eat for our own pleasure. Okay, in fact, they say na, that most human beings live to eat. Okay, but it should be the opposite. It should be we eat so that we can live. We should not live to eat, but we should eat to live. So this is the what you have to do. Whatever you are doing, eating, sleeping, doing good for going to the market, okay, buying vegetables, whatever you want to do it with the Lord, remembrance of the Lord. First you remember and then you offer what you are doing to the Lord. Sometimes you may have difficulty in understanding, if I am going to buy vegetables, okay, how can I give it to the Lord? It may be a slightly problem. But the moment you go on practicing, the clarity comes and then you understand how to do it. It's only a question of practice. Good morning, Tarika.
Good morning.
Okay. So this is what the answer is. And he is telling you that there are two types of unattachment. One is called sannyasa and the other is called tyaga. And what is the difference between the two? We will discuss. That's what is discussing here in this paragraph. Okay, so both mean the same thing. Sannyasa, putting down. And putting down what? Your identification with body, mind, life. You are thinking that you are the body, mind, life. That is. So you reject body, mind, life. Tyaga also is the same. Tyaga, give up the attachment to anything. Okay, your attachments, your desires, get rid of them. Okay. So what is the exact difference? One is external, one is internal. That's what he's going to explain to us. So the answer, and I'm going to read each sentence. I gave you an overall picture of what he's saying, but now we'll go into each sentence. The answer is important, for it puts the whole distinction very clearly and indicates, though it does not develop entirely, the line of reconciliation. Reconciliation between what and what? Reconciliation between doing the works and not doing the works. The Sankhya philosophy is not doing the works. Don't do works. The moment you do works, you will get attachment and desire. So don't do it. And the other one, no, do the works, but do it with a sacrifice. Don't do it for yourself. So this is the distinction which has to be reconciled. They look like opposites, but they are not opposites. If a little trick of the mind is there, that is what he is going to explain to us. Okay. Renunciation and yoga of works. So renunciation, Sankhya philosophy. Renounce the attachment to body, mind, life. Yoga of works. You are doing works, you continue to do works, but without attachment to body, mind, life. Okay. And your desires and all. Both bring about the soul's salvation. Both. They are all two different roads, but the end is the same. And what is the end? Liberation. Mukti. Okay. Salvation. Your soul detaches itself from the body, mind, life. But of the two, the yoga of works is distinguished above the renunciation of works. So he's saying the yoga of works, karma yoga, is superior to Jnana Yoga. Okay, you see. He should be known as always a sannyasin, even when he is doing action. Okay, but he is not doing the action as though he is doing. Our normal attitude is, I am doing the action. But the more you think that it is nature which is acting through you and I am being used as a puppet, I am not doing the action. The action is being done through me. Nature, universal nature is acting. It is acting everywhere, actually. But we think that in human beings also, now we think that we are doing. But that transition from the lower action of universal nature, like the river is flowing, the river does not think that I am flowing. The tree is growing. The tree does not think that I am growing. Why? Because they don't have an ego. But the moment we have an ego, we think that I am growing, I am eating, I am running, I am walking, I am running the scooter. This is what you feel. Okay? But you must understand that it is nature only which is doing everything. So this is what he's saying. Okay? So the yoga works as this is from the renunciation of work. He should be known as always a sannyasin who, even when he is doing action, he can continue to do actions without the sense of I am doing the works, who neither dislikes nor desires. So there is neither disliking nor desiring. So this is samatha. You have to develop samatha. Okay? For free from the dualities, he is released easily and happily from the bondage. So you have to get rid of your good and bad, okay, sin and virtue, all these ideas you must get rid of. Okay. It comes a little later, but in the beginning it's very difficult to understand how um, cruelty and kindness, both you have to get rid of at the lower level. Okay. Now this is very interesting, and I am going to speak about it because today I got an idea. Okay, and I want to share that idea with you. Okay, we are saying that light and darkness are the same, essentially the same, although they look like opposites. Now, how is that possible? As I said, cruelty and kindness are same. It's very difficult to understand that. Okay, harmony and quarrel are really the same at the lower level. So I'll give you an idea which today entered into my mind, so I'm going to share it with you. Okay? Have you seen videos where, animals, small puppies, okay, if there are two, or even there are other animals, okay? There are very interesting videos where they are playing. They are always playing with each other, okay? They are hitting each other, okay, with their paws, and it's a very happy reaction, okay. Sometimes there are dogs and kittens also, and they are very, very harmoniously playing with each other. Sometimes you wonder how that kitten is hitting the dog and yet the dog is not reacting. But sometimes what happens, these two puppies, when they are hitting each other playfully, okay, suddenly that play becomes a little violent, okay. That hitting with the paw becomes a little hard, too hard, and then it becomes painful, and then there's a quarrel. It degenerates into a quarrel. So what is starting with love and affection and play can become a little quarrelsome. Okay, it can happen. It reminds me of a very interesting incident. I'm sorry, I am going a little out of the way, but I think it'll help you. Okay, there were two friends in the ashram. Okay, and this was a joke actually, but it's very interesting. There were two friends, and they were, one fellow was very affectionately, he started pressing the chest of another, his friend only. They are very friends, and that pressing became a little too hard. And the fellow who was being pressed told him, "Hey, don't do that. Okay, it is hurting me." So playfully again, this fellow continued to say, "In the beginning it will hurt, but afterward you'll get used to it. So bear it." So this was a common joke at that time, but this is exactly what it is. So something which is a pleasant play can become sometimes a little cruel. But if you think of this, you will see how there is really a connection between the two. If you keep this idea in mind, okay, then it becomes possible to understand how opposites can be, dualities can become, you become you conquer the dualities. Okay, so so I'll tell you one thing. Okay, suppose you have a physical pain. Okay, like right now I am having a good deal of pain in my teeth, so I have to go to the dentist. But when the pain comes, okay, you can do two things. Either you can think of it as, oh, body pain is there, and then you feel disgusted. But if you think of it in another way, it becomes very interesting. Okay. You think of it as divine is doing everything for me. So even this pain, it is giving me, okay, but it is not supposed to be pain. It is supposed to be playfulness. The divine is playing with me, and it is hurting me a little because I am not tuned to his play. If you think of it that way, it becomes a very interesting thing. So then you don't start minding the pain. So I hope what I'm saying makes sense, no? Because to me it made a lot of sense. So this is how the two extremes are really one. And if you can learn to exchange the two and find harmony between the two, you will benefit. All pain will start disappearing and becoming a play of the divine. Isn't Sri Krishna constantly having play with all the gopis? And when he is absent, it is very painful. So, if you think of it that way, you will see how interesting it is that pain and pleasure at the lower level are really two different things of the same essential movement. Okay, so I come back to the Gita. Yeah, tell me.
How can a murder or a rape can we say is a playing thing?
Okay, no, I didn't
Murder,
follow. I didn't follow exactly what you said.
rape is an intentional pain given, right?
Yes, that's right.
So how do we reconcile to that?
No, that's what I told you. That's what I explained. Huh? That it depends on how you are seeing it. It depends on your attitude. The pain, if you think of, as I told you just now, a little painfulness can become, it is starting from a play, okay? It is starting from something pleasant. One friend is pressing the chest from behind, with his two arms, he is pressing the chest from behind, and it is playful, okay? I like you, look, I am doing this to you. But if it becomes a little too hard, then it becomes a little painful. So the other fellow has to realize that it is being done out of love. But he still protests. So the joke was at that time. This is an actual incident that happened, okay, in the ashram. So he says, in the beginning it will hurt a little, but you will get used to it. So it was a very funny incident, but that is exactly. That is ঘোড়াতে লাগবে কিন্তু পরে অভ্যেস হয়ে যাবে, you'll get used to it. And he continue to pressing. So this is what can happen. So, in fact, there is another incident that happened also, okay, and that concerned actually my brother also, because he had a friend also, and he was one day doing the same. From behind he came, put his arms around his chest and started pressing him. Okay. It was out of friendship and out of fun. Okay. So, but that he pressed so hard that that boy actually fainted. So now, Pallu, I'm giving you these incidents to make you see how the two are connected, pain and pleasure, okay? Good and evil. The dualities are connected, and we have to rise above the dualities. So, with this background, now will you,
Rangada, there is
yeah, tell me.
one more example
Huh,
that there is a practice of acupressure, you know.
okay,
So
that's right.
it believes that if your point in your hand is hurting, it means it has linked to some disorder.
Yes,
So when somebody starts doing it, you feel pain. But if you think that the more this pain will be gone, it will lead to wellness.
yes.
Then after a point, you start seeing it very differently. The pain.
That's right. It's an attitude. Yeah, it makes a lot of. That's a good example also. But today it struck me that this could be a good example to understand the dualities. Okay, I hope what I'm saying makes sense. Okay, it makes a lot of sense to me. But this is a way to explain. But otherwise, very difficult to understand. How can cruelty
And
and yeah,
and Ranga, the one more example is when you train in karate,
huh,
it always hurts, that evening. And then when the teacher tells you that it's only in pain, I mean, it's a way of saying that that's how your muscles are, working out, and this pain is an indication that they have been worked out. Then I have seen in myself that the day when it does not pain, I don't feel happy. I mean, I haven't worked out enough.
yes. I often ask the students, I used when I was in knowledge, I used to ask them, can you give me an example of a pain which is pleasurable? And they used to always say, after exercises, okay, after heavy exercises, the muscles are paining, but still you enjoy it. So, so there is this. So you must understand that you have to go above the dualities. Okay, they are the same. Okay, you have to be free from duality. Pressure, pain and pleasure, you have to get rid of both. And when you get rid of both, then you can enjoy the real pleasure which becomes bliss, okay? Which is not subject to limited causes. That's what he's saying. So we come back to the text. Okay? So he should be known as a sannyasin when even when he is doing action, who neither dislikes nor desires. Okay, he is above liking and disliking, and he has no desires. For free from the dualities, he is released easily and happily from the bondage. Because if you feel happy, it is happy at the lower level, then you are sure to feel also pain at some time. So you have to get rid of both. Okay. And if you develop samatha, okay, an equality to both, then you will get free. It's a long time, agreed, it takes a long time, but you will be ultimately free. Children speak, I'm reading the next sentence. Children speak of Sankhya and Yoga apart from each other, not the wise. Okay. The doing actions and not doing actions are completely compatible with each other because your body mind life could do to do actions, but the sense of I am doing the action disappears. You know that somebody else is manipulating you. It is human nature, it is sorry, universal nature which is acting through my body, my vital and my mind. Okay, and I am free and I am watching this happening. This is the experience of the self, the Brahman consciousness. Okay? So, children speak of Sankhya and Yoga apart from each other. They say they are opposites. They are not opposites, not the wise. If a man applies himself integrally to one, he gets the fruit of both. So you can go to the self through meditation in the mind and renunciation of physical works. That is one way. And the other way is to do the works, but do it as a sacrifice and not to yourself. So the path is different, but the goal is the same. That's what he is explaining. So that's a reconciliation that Arjuna was wanting. So you can do both. And I am telling you, Krishna says to Arjuna, continue the work you are doing. Okay? Continue the work, but don't think that you are doing the work. That will be the solution. All your problems of guilt and sense of suffering because you are going to do something which you think is wrong, all that will disappear if you rise to the self. Okay. So children speak of Sankhya and Yoga apart from each other as though they are different, not the wise. If a man applies himself integrally to one, he gets the fruit of both. Because in their integrality, each contains the other. When you go to the self, you see that you are not doing anything. So they get reconciled when you go to the self. Okay. Work and no work. Because in their integrality, they contain each other. The status which is attained by the Sankhya, to that the men of the yoga also arrive. Okay? So, what is meant by status? Don't misinterpret the word. Status doesn't mean a state of being, it means the silence, static, That's why the word status. Okay, so you are likely to misunderstand. But the status means static, silent, no action, which is attained by the Sankhya through the Jnana Yoga path, intelligent will. To that, the men of the yoga, the karma yoga, one who is doing karma yoga, also come to the same thing. Who sees Sankhya and yoga as one, he sees. Okay, the one who sees. Okay, Sankhya and yoga as one, he is the one who sees correctly. But renunciation is difficult to attain without yoga. So it is easier to get the Brahman consciousness by doing works. It is easier because you have a support. And now you feel, oh, I'm thinking that I am doing. No, no, no. I am going to give all this action to the divine. I'm not going to do it for myself. And when you don't do it for yourself, naturally the ego slowly starts filtering away. In the beginning, the ego may complain and saying, hey, I want the results of what I'm doing. But slowly, 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 the ego disappears. And if the ego disappears, the attachment to body, mind, life disappears also. And then you become the Brahman consciousness. Okay? So, the sage who has yoga attains soon to the Brahman. His self becomes the self of all existences. There is a cosmic consciousness. When you attain to the Brahman consciousness, you need not have the cosmic consciousness, because you may see the cosmos as something separate. But you can also have it as a cosmic consciousness. If you are doing right divine, remember, two possibilities when you rise to the self. Either you see the physical world as unreal, or you have the cosmic consciousness where the world is real and you embrace all. That's a phrase being used here. Okay? He says, his self becomes the self of all existences. In other words, my soul is the soul of everybody else, of all things that have become. Okay? All things that have become, everything. The divine presence is there in everything. Now, how to understand this? How can my individual soul become universal? Again, the image of the sea and the wave can help you. Okay, the wave is part of the sea, but the sea, when there is an ego, the wave does not realize that it is part of the sea. But in the beginning, it is possible for the wave to know that yes, I can't exist without the sea. The cosmic consciousness is I am part of everything. That's it. So that is what you get. Okay, when you are in the cosmic consciousness. The sage who has yoga attains soon to the Brahman. His self becomes the self of all existences. And existences means everything. Stones, worms, caterpillars, cats, dogs, human beings. Okay? So, of all things that have become. Not the word become. There is a being which is static, and there is a becoming which is in movement, and it becomes. The seed is the being. The seed is the static. And a tree which has become, that's a becoming. Okay? Purusha Prakriti. Okay. The sage. So, and even though he does works, he is not involved in them. His body, mind, life is doing works, but his consciousness realizes fully that I am not doing. You are only watching. That's a Purusha consciousness. That's the Brahman consciousness. The body, mind, life continues to act. Okay? With it, sometimes it is old habits. Okay, that also is there. Okay, if you had habit of anger, it will be there. If it is habit of greed, it will be there. All good habits also. Why bad habits only? Good habits also. The habits will continue for some time until you go to a higher level. That's what the Gita is going to tell you now. Okay, he knows that his actions are not his, but nature's. Nature is may do my things physically, vitally, mentally. He is not involved. He knows that his actions are not his, but nature's. And by that very knowledge, he is free. He has renounced works, does no actions, though actions are done through him. The body mind life continues to act, but you know now that you are not acting. Okay. You are like a puppet. The body mind life goes on acting. This is the description of the Brahman consciousness. Even though he does works, he is not involved in them. He knows that the actions are not his but nature, and by that very knowledge he is free. He has renounced works, does no actions, though actions are done through him. He becomes the self, Brahman, the Brahman consciousness. Brahma Bhuta. He has become the Brahman. He sees all exist. By the way, don't think that Brahman consciousness is the divine. Huh? It seems to be the actually is a silence. Okay, it's a silence. It is a stage going to the divine. First, you empty all your wrong ideas and wrong actions and wrong thoughts. Then you have a silence. You have an emptiness. So actually, that emptiness is full, but it's an emptiness. Then afterwards, you go to something which is a fullness. That's the second stage. That fullness is what Srimad is going to describe here in the Gita. Okay, so he sees all existences as becomings, bhutani, of that self-existent being. That being, which is self-existence, creates all the becomings, bhutani. Okay, that which is static starts producing vibrations and becomes becoming all things. The static and the dynamic. Okay? The world is the dynamic and it is coming from that which is static. Of that self-existent being. And note also interesting that being is, it exists by itself. The becomings don't exist by themselves. The becomings depend on the being. If the being is not there, there can be no becoming. Okay? He sees all existence as becoming of that. His own self being, his own, only one of them. His own bhutani, your body, mind, life is only one of the. Your body is only one of the formations of matter. Your vital, individual vital, is one small individual formation of the huge plane of prana and power. Okay? Your mind, your intellectual mind, is just one small formation of the universal mind plane. Okay? So that's what he's saying. His own, only one of them. All their actions as only the development of cosmic nature working through the individual nature, and his own actions also as a part of that cosmic activity. The wave knows that it is part of the sea. It is the sea that is creating the wave. If the sea is not there, there can be no wave. Now, he adds that other thing. Okay? I told you just now that the Brahman consciousness is not God, okay, not fully. So that's what he's going to explain now. This is not the whole teaching of the Gita. Okay, the Gita says, fine, go and get the static condition. Empty yourself of all your wrong notions and all wrong things and become absolutely blank. That is step number 1. But there is a step number 2, which the Gita will tell you. And what is that? Rise from the Akshara consciousness. Rise from the Kshara consciousness, the becoming, to the being, to the Akshara consciousness. And once you go to the Akshara consciousness, go to the third level, the Purushottama, Uttama Purusha. Okay, so this is what the next step is. So that's why we constantly speak of 3 levels. Level 1, Kshara consciousness, ignorance, seeing the many. Okay. Level 2, Akshara consciousness, seeing the one. Okay, not static, no becoming, only being. Third level, both are reconciled fully. And that is the God consciousness. Okay, so it is again, to give an example, it's very easy. Suppose you have a cup of dirty water. Okay, you can't fill it with clean water. It will always remain dirty. Therefore, throw the dirty water out. And if the dirty water is gone out, the cup is empty. That's a Brahman consciousness. No? So you feel there is an emptiness. Actually, it's not empty. Now you are ready for the clean water to come. That's a third level. Okay? So, this is what he's saying. This is not the whole teaching of the Gita. For as yet, there is only an idea of the immutable self of Purusha, the Akshara Brahman, and of nature Prakriti, as that which is responsible for the cosmos, and not yet this idea clearly expressed of the Ishvara, the third level, the Purushottama. As yet, and what is the Purushottama consciousness? It's not an emptiness anymore. There is power, there is love, there is bliss. All these things come in. All positive things come in at that third level. You can get touches of in the second level also, you can get touches of these, but it's not full. You can get power in the spiritual planes of consciousness. You can also get bliss. Okay, that can happen. But very often, mostly it is emptiness. Okay. Akshara Brahman and of nature Prakriti, as that which is responsible for the cosmos and not yet the idea clearly expressed of the Ishvara, the Purushottam. That clearly expresses later on. As yet only the synthesis of works and knowledge. Synthesis of works is Karma Yoga. Knowledge, Jnana Yoga. In Jnana Yoga, you know that you are not doing any action. In the Karma Yoga, you are doing action, but you are watching. The body mind life is acting and you are not. It's a question of the identification with body mind life. Not yet. In spite of certain hints, that means the Gita is giving you certain hints, the introduction of the supreme element of devotion, which becomes so important afterwards. All this which we are talking about, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, gives you knowledge, but does not necessarily give you devotion, bhakti. But when you get bhakti, okay, then you are reconciling the personal aspect and the impersonal aspect of the divine. You get knowledge, but you also get love and devotion for the Lord. As yet only the one inactive Purusha, Brahman consciousness, quiescent, status, and the lower Prakriti, and not yet the distinction of the triple Purusha and the double Prakriti. So when he is speaking about the Karma Yoga and the Sankhya Yoga as being one, as being two different paths to the same, it is still at level 2 only. It is not yet speaking about the level 3. It is true that Ishvara is spoken of, but his relation to the self and nature is not yet made definite. It's only hinted at in this chapter, Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta. The first 6 chapters only carry the synthesis so far as it can be carried without the clear expression and decisive entrance of these all-important truths, which, when they come in, must necessarily enlarge and modify, though without abolishing these first reconciliations. There is not a cancellation of the knowledge in level 2, but there is an enlargement of the knowledge at the level 2. When you go to level 3, there is a complete further reconciliation. That's what Sandhu is saying. So, we got 5 minutes. So, it's clear, na, what he is saying? That Sankhya and Yoga are really two different paths for the same realization. You can follow both and you will come to the same result. And what will be that result? Complete silence of the mind, complete no suffering at all, no identification with the lower being, no problems. You are absolutely in peace and calm, and you can continue to do work. That's what it is. We can read the next para, which is also.
Rangana,
Yeah, tell me.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
What can we see is the difference between asceticism and tapasya, according to, in Fairwind's word?
Yeah. I think asceticism is the Sankhya Yoga. That means you give up body mind life. You actually give up you don't want to be subject to the body mind life, and you are rejecting pleasure and pain. This is the ascetic way. But the non-ascetic way is, why should I give up enjoyment? But I don't want to enjoy in a selfish manner. I want to enjoy in a wide manner, okay, without desire. Enjoyment can be of two types: enjoyment of desire and desireless enjoyment. Okay. Archana, your question is, what is the difference between asceticism and
Tapasya.
Oh, tapasya can lead to asceticism. Tapasya is actually concentration. Okay, tapasya is concentration. It's a discipline. You Tapasya is the first step. With tapasya, okay, you can go to karma yoga or you can go to jnana yoga. So asceticism is a result of tapasya. But on the other hand, the desireless enjoyment also can be the through tapasya. Tapasya is the effort. Okay, not the word tapasya. Tapa is heat. Na? So when you make an effort and you concentrate, there's always heat produced. There is something very interesting. The word is so it applies even physically. Okay. When I heat something, it leads to purification. Is that not true? Say, if I want dirty water, if I boil it, okay, I heat it, then water vapor comes out and becomes pure. Okay. Then take iron ore, okay, it is full of slag. And if I heat it, the slag comes out and the pure iron also comes out. So heating is always a way of purification. Okay. So that is why tapas means exactly that, heat. It's one of the, uh, in fact, in all our Indian languages also, na, tapa, the sunlight, okay, isn't it? So heating so tapas is the heating and the purification. And it can lead to asceticism. But if you are leading to asceticism, okay, fine. You have peace and calm, but no enjoyment, no power. You are rejecting. Whereas you can have also enjoyment, but this time tapasya will lead to enjoyment, but enjoyment which is not based on desire, nor is it based on egoism. That's the difference. So enjoyment can be of two types. Ascetic is non-enjoyment, if you want. I wonder if I made myself clear, Archanadi?
Uh, yes, Rangada. So we
Yeah.
can say in a way, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear it.
That tapasya is basically purification and asceticism is living. Can we say so?
We can say that tapasya is purification. And what was the second thing?
Asceticism is leaving the body mind life.
Yes,
While
yes.
tapasya is
Tapasya is the process by which you can go to either enjoyment or non-enjoyment. Non-enjoyment is the ascetic part. You get knowledge and you are satisfied with that. Okay. Asceticism is non-involvement in the bodily life. You give up the physical world. So you give up actually enjoyment also. You are physically you are giving up the things in asceticism, but in the non-ascetic path you enjoy also. There is a very distorted idea in India that all spiritual life must be ascetic. That's why there was a big discussion um, uh, between the Jagat Guru, what's his name? Jaggi Vasudevan, okay, and that uh, NDTV anchor, what's his name? So he was asking why all these spiritual institutions are so rich. They have no business to be rich. So Jaggi Vasudevan answered him, if a film star gets wealth and a football player gets wealth, you're not objecting. So why should you object when spirituality also can have wealth? Why not? The divine should always be bare and ascetic? Certainly not. Okay, so there are two ways. You can go to asceticism, fine, but that is not necessary. The divine can be also, it can full enjoyment, wealth, richness, splendor. That's also part of the divine. Okay, so that is the thing. Tapasya is certainly the discipline by which you purify yourself. But once you are pure, there are two ways. One, you go away from the physical world. Then But you need not go away from the physical world. You can continue to do all the actions that you are doing. You can eat your rasagulla, you can eat your jalebi, and you can have everything. But this time there is no desire. You are enjoying, but without desire. Next time, if the jalebi doesn't come, there is no unhappiness. That is the freedom from desire and ego. Okay, so we have gone to 8:37. So we have finished the para. I think Archanadi still has a small problem, na? Uh,
No, Rangada, it's absolutely clear. It's absolutely
okay,
clear. I got the
okay,
hang of it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm happy
So
then.
because in context to something I read about Sri Arvind, so I was just asking you the exact meaning of tapasya. That's what
I
I'm saying.
know
I'm
because
purifying.
I'll tell you, Archanadi, why it is happening. Because in India, tapasya means punishment. Tapasya means
Ah,
suffering. When
that's
you,
what it
when
exactly.
Dhruva, yeah, that's right.
With
When Dhruva is standing on one leg, he is doing tapasya. So there's a confusion in the mind in India that tapasya is always painful. It is not that at all. Okay? Tapasya is a purification, is a concentration. Okay? So that is it's a concentration, and it's a question of heat. Okay? When you heat something, actually when you are concentrating, you are contracting your thoughts, na? And contraction always gives you heat. Okay? That's the principle also of the refrigerator. Okay? The refrigerator works on this principle of contraction. When you contract something and make it narrow and dense, then there is heat produced. Okay? And heat always purifies. Sometimes you can feel that heat in the body also. You'll feel a slight, there's a difference between fever and heat in the body, but you can feel that heat in the body. It purifies you. It can even go to the extent of, the body rejecting some of the impurities. Okay, I think I told you once how um, uh, Temiben, who was a Parsi, and she was definitely a yogin. Okay, when she had a very bad skin. Okay, she used to have a lot of eczema-like thing. So mother told her that when you are rejecting things from the mind, it goes into the vital. When you are rejecting things from the vital, it goes into the body. When you reject from the body, it goes into the inconscient. Nothing disappears. That the Gita also will tell you. That which once exists can never go out of existence. It only goes from one place to another place. It's exactly like if you clean a room, where does the dirt go? Does it disappear? No. It goes into the dustbin. And from the dustbin, it goes to the municipal dump. It never disappears. So this is the tapasya is exactly that, removing of the impurities, and it keeps going lower and lower and lower until finally everything is there in the inconscious. So it is pushed into the inconscient. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, I think we stop here today. Hope to see all of you in December. All right, Pondicherry. Au revoir, everybody.
Rangada.
Au revoir.
Bless you
Thank you,
all.
Rangada.
Okay.